Hey guys, yeah, I wanted to do a second live update on City Council because good news. Councillor Zakidniak, as promised, brought a motion to extend the F.W. Johnson free transit for high school students pilot for a year. So it sounds like she met with the mayor and she had like a plan to like have a more extensive motion that would expand things further than just doing the pilot again. And that tracks with what she was saying in the in our radio show last week. So, anyways, she backed off because she said that should, that stuff should be considered in the budget process, and she didn't want to derail, keeping the pilot around by making the motion too big. So she went for something smaller, and it passed. And that's how these things go. One of the things that you see, especially with this council, it used to happen a lot with the other council, the previous council, is like somebody would bring a motion, and it's for something achievable, something sensible, reasonable, and achievable. And then everybody comes in. You see this with Fro, and you see this with Turnbull a lot, but they're not exclusive in this. That they'll come in and say, well, let's add this little tweak and let's add this little feature. And should we consider something else? And what about this over here? And before you know it, before you know it, 3 hours have gone by. All of these like little addendums have been either voted down or they've been added, and you've got this Frankenstein monster amendment laden motion at the end that fails. So I don't know, man. I've been watching this long enough to know smaller incremental changes are more likely to get through. Big fucking ideas, the last thing you want to do is to give the grumpy Facebook grandpas chum to chew on. So anyways, this passed. The mayor voted in favor. The Kidneyek obviously voted in favor. Fro, Radons, Turnbull, and Flores voted in favor. Burton, now I don't know. At this point, I was actually like watching the council meeting at 1.5 speed. So maybe Burton wasn't as like really angry about this as he sounded. Maybe it was just, the fact that he was moving at 1.5 speed. But he sounded really ticked off by continuing the pilot. His argument being, and this argument was like shared by Rasevich and Mancinelli, that this pilot is moving towards fare free transit for all high school students, and that's going to cost $20 million. And as Burton put it, the burden for that extra transit infrastructure will fall to the residents of his ward, and they're sick of paying for this. Bezos' line was, he's been hearing that people are sick of paying for all these free things. Anyways, I don't know, man. I have a lot of objections to what was being said. You don't need me to go on about it, do you? Hang on. The coffee's water is ready. I have had a lot of coffee today. It's a good day when you have a lot of coffee. So yeah, a lot of coffee. And so the big argument here from, say, Mancinelli, we'll use Mancinelli as an example, but he wasn't the only one, is that if this pilot is successful, God forbid, and shows that we should have a program for all high school students, that would cost, according to the city's report, that'll cost $20 million, $16 million of which is extra buses. And that's spending that kind of money on the transit system just for high school students doesn't make any sense. He talked about how much he supports transit, but this is not the way to do it. So what I find frustrating about this is that if you were to spend $20 million on the transit system for high school students, and $16 million was buying new buses, and the rest was like hiring operators and stuff, those buses don't go away when school is out. This would be an investment in the entire transit system for the entire city. And we don't have like all of our schools aren't in like some magic school land that's separate from the rest of the city. Our high schools are peppered throughout the city. So if we have to expand the transit fleet and the transit system for our high schools, that impact will benefit the whole city. And that's a good thing. That's exactly what we want. So you could look at fare free transit for high school students as just motivating an expansion to the transit system that we should have made ages ago. Rasevich, one of the things he likes to point out is that we've been investing in transit. We've been expanding the transit system, which is true. The question is, though, are we expanding it enough for a modern city? I would say no. And one of the things, because remember, Rasevich and many other councillors paid no attention to city council and what was going on in the city before they became city councillors. So the fact that our city council had historically underinvested in transit, and that a lot of this money that we're spending right now in transit, these expansions to transit, are catching up. This is catching up money. It's not enough to get us, to be in league with other cities our size that actually take transit seriously. So yes, we've been spending a little bit extra on, we've been spending more than a little bit extra on transit. And I will say, since I've moved here, transit has improved dramatically. When I got here, oh my God. I came from cities where transit wasn't great, and I was staggered by how bad the transit was here. So kudos to the director of transit and all of the transit staff and all the people who've actually, facilitated those improvements. But anybody who actually uses transit and has used transit anywhere else in the world will tell you that Regina's transit still needs more investment than what we're getting. Sorry, I'm going to top up this coffee with some hot water. And a little cream. So yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. My little sniping, I mean, these people, they lost, right? The people who didn't want to make this investment or continue the pilot, they lost today. That was good. Because I mean, I want to see transit improve, and it's great that it's Johnson. Oh, somebody asked me or mentioned that, why aren't we putting this pilot at a school that has lower incomes and people and kids who struggle more? Because, if we did that, we would actually see this improvement in attendance better than what we're seeing with Johnson, because Johnson isn't in a really depressed neighborhood. The reason that this was done is that administration had found a school where the transit routes that serve that area are underused. And so by running this pilot at Johnson, it wouldn't require getting any extra buses to handle the extra capacity from the students. So really what they're doing with this is they're spending $50,000 a term, so $100,000 a year, so that the buses in this area are being used. Right? So you could even just not do it as a pilot. You could just do it as a program to improve this transit use in this area. That's a good reason to do it. The other thing is Johnson, and you guys can tell me what it is. There's an academic program at FW Johnson that draws students from all over the city. And so, transit's good for them. Coffee time. I've had a lot of coffee. Did I mention that? I probably did, but I've had a lot of coffee, so I'm not talking sense. Said this in the last live stream, said this in the blog post on queencityib.com. Again, council's saying the thing about we didn't see attendance go up. You can't look at attendance. It's the wrong fucking number. You want to be looking at absenteeism. You want the inverse of attendance. So if 99% of the people are going to school already, you're not going to see much change, right? Because you're just looking at, that 1% of people who are absent, and you want to see that number shrink. And when that number shrinks, it's going to be shrinking by a larger percentage versus the whole, where that number shrinking makes the whole not change so much. Do you see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? So if we're trying to address absenteeism, we look at absenteeism, not at overall attendance. And that's the thing that this council, well, they weren't informed of this. They well, this nuance wasn't included in the administration's report. Councillor Zakidniak mentioned that there is a group, I can't remember, it's like Get on the Bus or something like that. It's one of those names, right? And so they're like some organization, a nonprofit that looks at increasing ridership in municipalities. They've offered for free to us to come to Regina and work with high school students, like go to school, F.W. Johnson, say, here's how you ride the bus, and this is why the bus is cool. And it'll probably be like that. It'll probably be cheerful 20-somethings who show up at the school in brightly colored sweatshirts with ukuleles and, I don't know, puppets to demonstrate to high school students how they should ride the bus. Make it cool, guys. That's what high school students want. Puppets and brightly colored sweaters. And songs and an acoustic guitar. What else? No, so anyways, this group is like Get on the Bus. I don't know. Bus evangelists are going to come to town. They're going to like evangelize about the bus to high school students. That's going to work. But more importantly, they've got experience with how to do data analysis on transit. And that is something that evidently we need more work with. Administration said that really all they can do is they can tell you whether or not ridership goes up or down. It's up to the school board to let them know whether or not attendance improves or not. So they were just relying on the school board's numbers. And the school board has pointed out, we're not going to be giving you students' grades. We're not going to be telling you whether the grades go up or down, whether kids have access to transit or not. It's none of your fucking business, counselors. Anyways. Hey, folks are tuning in. We got QC Matt. Hey, QC Matt, Sask Boy. I wonder if that's the Sask Boy I know. I suspect it was. Hey, John. And Maliana was back. Thanks for tuning in, gang. Yes, so are we going to be taking the bus evangelicals up on their offer? That is a direction in the motion to explore partnerships. When you write a motion, you don't typically say you have to seek out a partnership with X group because administration has a process, right? There's a whole procurement process. I suspect even for free services that are being offered to the city. So it has to be up to the administration to vet the group, make sure the group is legit, not a scam, right? So yeah, the motion will say explore partnerships, but presumably if there's a group that is legit that's coming to us with an offer, city admin will be inclined to take them up on it. And it sounds like Councillor Zakidniak heard about or met this group. She's council's representative to the Canadian Urban Transit Association, CUTA, and she was at like a conference of theirs fairly recently. So there's all these friggin' national organizations that the city's part of, Federation of Canadian Municipalities, which apparently we're going to be bidding on an FCM conference in Regina. That, I don't give a crap about the Grey Cup, but if we were to get the FCM, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities conference in Regina, holy crap, stop the presses. I'd be asking for like press credentials to that. That's something I'd like to go to. Think of all the cool mayors from other cities you'd get to meet. It'd be so awesome. I went when we had the infrastructure conference here. It was an infrastructure summit like 10 years ago or whatever. No, it was more than that. It was like 2010, so 16 years ago. You had mayors from all across the city. I got to interview Naheed Nenshi like in his first year as mayor of Calgary, and that was cool. I called ahead and I was like, can I interview him? And he wasn't so like famous at this point that you couldn't get through to his media people. And so they're like, oh yeah, no, we'll set something up. So I got to have like a one-on-one interview at this infrastructure summit with Naheed Nenshi, and he was awesome. And I also got to interview Mayor McCallion from Mississauga. She was like 90, but she was smart as a whip. And she was, she's just like walking around on her own. And she had just like been mayor of Mississauga for like ever. And she was awesome. And yeah, so I got to interview her. It was very cool. So that infrastructure summit that Mayor Fiacco put on, it was actually one of the professional highlights of my career. Oh, Saskboy apparently went to FCM this month. Aren't you a lucky guy? Anyways, what else is going on? So yes, fare free transit for high school students passed. Awesome. That's cool. And what they're discussing right now is Bezos' motion to force people back to work. So we have this hybrid model. I don't know the details of it, but there's a hybrid model at the city for employment where you can like work most of the time at home and you can go into the office only when absolutely necessary. This would have started or been enhanced during COVID. And Bezos trying to get rid of it. This is something that managers are trying to do across the country, right? And like, across North America and everywhere else. They're like, I'm so lonely at my job. I don't have people around I can tell what to do. And so they force people back to work who've been working from home. Representatives of the Middle Management Union and from QP21 are at council, and they've been like taking questions. They pointed out, look, when we had this model in place, a bunch of people took the city up on it. And they invested huge in home offices that had secure connections to the city, had like, secure record storage in their home offices. They put a bunch of money into having access to this model. If we just like pull the rug out from underneath them, we as a union are going to be seeking compensation for these people. Also, a lot of these people, they're not like getting any kind of like travel reimbursement. Their salaries reflect the fact that they don't have to come into the office, pay for parking, pay for gas. The union will be seeking compensation for people who are for, a little bump, a little cha-ching, cha-ching to make up for the fact that they're coming to the office. So yeah. And also the union pointed out that there isn't the office space to handle everybody coming back all at once. The city would probably have to rent space. So when you rent space downtown for your employees, that comes with a cost. Also, one of the things they pointed out is that I hadn't thought of this. City employees are like scattered across a bunch of buildings. They're not all just in City Hall. Like the people who work outdoors, they're in another building. And so one of the things that happens is that you want to have your meetings over a computer and have everybody attend virtually, because then nobody has to run between buildings. And apparently before you had, widespread uptake on virtual meetings, you would always have to build into your day waiting around for people to travel to your meeting and make it. And so having virtual meetings for most of your meetings, especially when they involve multiple different departments, is an efficiency. The thing that numbers guys like friggin' Bezos keep saying this is what they want is efficiencies. And the hybrid model is that efficiency handed to you, and they want to get rid of it. Yeah. So anyways, what else do we have? We have motions coming from Councillor Sickleys. Sickleys is always like, we got to find ways to save money, and then he always comes with motions that are going to cost money. The mayor too. Oh, he's got this hero award. Did I mention this? I mentioned this on Facebook. Not on Facebook, on Blue Sky. That the mayor has this idea for the mayor's hero award. I can't remember what it's called. It's like a friggin' trophy for heroes of the city. And so yeah, that's coming later this meeting. They're going to be discussing his like hero trophy. I don't know what to say about it. It's just like, why is it the mayor's hero trophy, right? Like, why isn't it the Queen City's hero trophy or the Regina's hero award or something like that? Mayor Fiacco, he like instituted 2 or 3 committees that followed that template. They were like mayor's blue ribbon committee on blank, right? And for the sustainability committee, it was the mayor's green ribbon committee on sustainability and climate action or something like that. And it just always seemed odd because it was kind of like, Fiacco finding a way to put his stamp on these things, to say, this is mine. I did this. And those committees are gone now. Yeah, there was a whole shakeup with like advisory committees under Fougere, where they basically got rid of all of them. They only kept accessibility, the Accessibility Advisory Committee. And now we're back to having only Accessibility Advisory. And then this Finance and Audit Committee, where they get a bunch of people from outside, like just like regular Joes, with like with numbers guys, more numbers guys. And they'll get together. It's a room full of like middle-aged men, like pulling their hair out over the budget and just freaking out. Oh my God, I can't believe you spent how much on gum? That's what that committee is. And all of these guys, so like it's like, it's the usual suspects, right? And they all go to these committee meetings with finance and audit, and they come out of it and they go to council meetings and they're like, oh my God, the sky is falling. The sky is falling. We have to do something about the financial skies falling. And so this is where you're getting a lot of this friggin' the city is broke discourse is coming out of finance and audit. The few times that I tune in, I don't enjoy. Their meetings are short. Usually, what those meetings seem to be is administration. Administration explained to these middle-aged men how the city works. They're like, I don't know how this works. How do we do this? How do we account for this? And administration has to explain it to them, and so they get spoon-fed how the city works, and then they go back to city council and they're like, the sky is falling. We have no money for anything. $10 million. Councillor Turnbull brought this up regarding the, I swear this connects, regarding fare free transit. She talked about how we're going to be making all these big investments in football this year, $1.5 million in the Grey Cup, and then we're putting a bunch of money into fixing up the turf and the digital scoreboards at Mosaic Stadium. This money is coming out of a reserve for the turf and the scoreboards, not the Grey Cup. That's going on your mill rate, guys. $1.5 million. They haven't said it yet. It could come out of the general fund reserve, but it's going on your mill rate. And even if it doesn't go on your mill rate directly, we have to replenish the general fund reserve somehow. That'll be going on your mill rate. So we're going to be taking $1.5 million out of your property tax flesh for the Grey Cup. And we're also putting all this money. Now, when we take money out of the stadium reserve, there isn't enough money in it right now to cover all of the costs. So $10 million, it's going to go into deficit. And Turnbull pointed out, we're willing to put $1.5 million towards the Grey Cup, and we're willing to go $10 million in deficit on a reserve for football. But we're not willing to spend $100,000 for 1 year of a pilot project for kids to get to school. The optics on that are poor. Anyways, I have talked way too long. I should shut this down. Thanks to everybody in the comments who's been shooting stuff. Thank you. I haven't had time to read it. But yeah, Council I'm sure is back up and running. And everybody's home at the Duchesne household, and they're all waiting to get back into the kitchen. And I've kicked them out so I can make this coffee and talk to you. So thank you all for joining me. This will be my last live thing. We will be, as I mentioned before, on the Queen City Improvement Bureau, 7 p.m. Thursday on 91.3 FM CJTR Access Now Community Radio. We will be talking to someone from the city about the Wascana Parkway. If you have questions about the Wascana Parkway, concerns about the Wascana Parkway extension, shoot them to me, please, because this is not an issue that I care that much about. And if you care about it, tell me why, and I will try to bring that up during our show. So that'll be 7 p.m. Thursday on CJTR, and that will go up as a podcast later. And we already have next week's booked, and I'm not going to spoil that one just yet. Yeah, John, I know I should care, and I know it's bad, and I understand the environmental implications. I was more talking about the driving situation. It does not impact me as a driver because I'm not one. But yeah, so John, shoot me some questions that you want me to ask. Happy to share them during the show. And the money also. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. How much money we're spending on Arcola and expanding the parkway. We will spend infinity money on roads, but transit, always getting nickel and dimed. That's why we have to make the investments now. Okay, seriously, I got to shut this down. Really appreciate you guys following along, and I will see you back at my live tweeting on Blue Sky. Ciao.